thing first, futures came back down. Well, kind of, we kind of think closed somewhere around here. Yeah, we closed somewhere around here on the futures. Below, I don't see where we closed on the SPX. Where did we close on? All right, 4100, almost even on SPX. So, there's Apple here. All right. And the futures came back in after that, where they closed. And our good friend, the half trend indicator, it gave us a signal here. It came back down all the way to the super trend here. So this is how I use half trend, and this is how I recommend using half trend in conjunction with the other indicators. Mostly, I use half trend in conjunction with my full trend. Sorry, super trend. So these two, the combination of these two indicators is pretty decent, better than decent actually. So if you understand how the super trend works and how the half trend works, then it makes a whole lot of sense to trade, within that range. And that is how exactly I trade within that range. All right, so futures closed somewhere around here, 4100, and continued to push down all the way to 4080, and it bounced from here. The market bounced from here, give or take. The bound. I was actually expecting markets to come back in another at least like 60 points. Sorry, another at least 12 points to 13 points, around 4065 to 40. That was a range. If you remember from the charting in the morning, 4065 to 4075 to the downside was again a range. 4165 to 4175 on the top was a range. So today market was unable to clear that range to the upside, and right about here it gave up. 40 4165, whatever this range was, the market gave up. And let's go back to ES. Right. So the market gave up, and right about here around this line, and we went short on the market. Got that push down nice and easy. Was expecting further push down. Actually, I did not want it to stop here. I was expecting a further push down into, oh, where is that number? Into this number right here. So again, this is the game that was played, right? The number came back into exactly to its five and bounce off of its five. My understanding was that it would pierce this five and come back into its 21, pierce its 21 and come back into its eight. This was my expectation, but did not happen for whatever reason. Apple couldn't push down to the range that we were looking for. I think 143.27, 147.27 to 147. That was the number that I was looking for Apple to get tested, but unfortunately that did not happen. Apple bounced off around 147.80 or something like that. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that, another point to the downside on Apple. But that being said, how so now what? The futures on the 1 hour chart, they're still looking good to the upside, and the 1 hour mean is sitting here about 4117. However, if the futures enter into inner Bollinger Band about 4110 or something like that, I see a clean hit of this number 4117. This number here 4114 should not be a problem. Future should be able to clear that and hit the mean if it enters this zone 4110. So my base case to the upside is about 4109, about 4 points from where it is right now, and the good to have would be 4117. If 4117 gets hit, then we are looking for a push into this number 4123. That's to the upside, and to the downside, this is what I'm and let's say here 4100 to the downside immediate, and a good to have would be a 4099. And then if that breaks, we are looking for a push into this number 4080 again. perhaps lows of the day where it kind of pushed back up. So, however, this chart is pretty clear, right? And we were looking for a hit of this number, then we were looking for a hit of 8. We did not get a hit of 8, but we got a hit of this number. And this is the range that I was looking for in the morning when I was charting the downside. This is the range it was supposed to hit 40.65 to 40.75. That was the range, but we didn't get it. I'm pretty close. Ran off after the 8. So if it pushes down from here, this range is still open for tomorrow. If it breaks below the 8, then we're looking for a push down into 21, then 8, and then perhaps if that fails, then easy hit of 40, 50, 40, 55 to 40, 50. That's the range. And if that breaks, then we're looking for a push into the mean 40, 20. It would have been pretty nice if SPX would have closed below its 8 today. However, it did not even close below its 8. Actually, it pushed away from its 5. So that tells me there's still strength in the markets. And so let's see the futures. So the weekly is still looking up. This is intact. So if it starts to come up into its 8 again, 41.50 or something like that, it failed here today. But if it comes back into this number again, then we'll look for a push above into 4200 again. And if this time it kind of clears up here, then we're looking for a push into 4233 or something like that, this number. And if this number clears, then we're looking for a push into the mean on the weekly. But right now, not plotting any of that. Right now, let's play this game, right? To the downside, 4086. If that breaks below there, then we're looking for 4060. And to the upside, again, 4108 or whatever this number is. If it clears, then we're looking for again a push into this number. This is a larger time technicals, and of course, we trade based on these technicals. Immediate push up into this number 4109. If it clears there, then we are looking for a push into the mean 4118. If that clears there, then we're looking for a push into 4123. This is for now. Tomorrow things might change. Tomorrow morning futures might change. I think there are some other couple of numbers that are due tomorrow. ADP number is due tomorrow, and I'm forgetting there are other couple of numbers due tomorrow. I think ADP is due about 8:15 or 8:30, and other numbers are due about 10 o'clock or something. And tonight, 8 o'clock, I think there was auto numbers came out. Uh, I don't have the data with me, but Al is not here to give that data either. But yeah, 8 o'clock tonight, auto numbers came out. Let me see if I can find that somewhere. Nope, it's not here. It's not here. Substantially the cost of building wind as solar. Nope. 59. 730, 758. No, it's not here. I need to look for that number somewhere. Probably in Finviz or something. All right, so moving on from there, let's look at Apple. And first, SPX wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, but just to look at things how I traded today. This is SPX, and this is the range. The moment it rejected it, I was a short here, right? And I went all the way through with it, and all the way till 41. I think it was trying to hit the mean 4100. Now, right about here. This is where I exited my trade, the short trade. From here on, I kind of missed this boat till here. Then probably I put in my trade here and lost money in this trade. I actually lost money here because I was expecting a bounce of this number. I did not get a bounce here. So I lost money here on this trade. I closed this trade for a loss. And again, I think I was long here. I was long somewhere around here, I think, 4090. I don't know. 4080 or something there I was long, and I was looking for 4097 to 4100 range to get hit, and that was based on this chart right here. 4100, I was expecting it to hit this number right about here. Based on this number, where is that? So right about here, 4103. This is somewhere around here. I was right, somewhere around here. I was expecting to hit this number, 4100, right about here. And this is where I exited my trade, and the trade kept going all the way into this. I kind of took puts around here, because I saw that VIX was kind of trying to push up from here. So I took a couple of puts, and I'm still holding those puts. And besides this, let me pull up another chart here. Symbol VIX. So this is what I saw for. Okay. Right. So this is what I saw for VIX, right? And again, the half trend is a good indicator, but I went short right about here when I was typing in the chat that VIX is looking weaker, and VIX was supposed to actually come back from 2051 or something. Why was that? This the reason for VIX to come back is right. No. The VIX chart, not this one, daily chart. Right here. So VIX was supposed to do this exact thing where it was hitting the 8 and coming back in. So this is exactly what the VIX is supposed to do. VIX ran up a little bit further, and Heikin-Ashi candles, this is where I was expecting it to go up here, 2780. However, we kind of got a push down. And this chart, the average is still intact to the downside, right? So this was just a blip. This push up today, this was just a blip, and it had to continue to come down. So based on this chart, I was referring to VIX as uh, I was betting on VIX to move down. So again, this is the same thing that happened here, right? This kind of spiked up and came right back in. The spike up came right back in. So my expectation is for this to continue to do the same thing, spike up, come back down until average comes back in all the way down here. So most likely we will see another push down on VIX. And how far will it push down? Till here, it was very clear for us. It's going to go hit this 50, very clear trade, and today was a choppy trade. Early in the morning, VIX kind of came down, and later in the afternoon, VIX started to push up. So tomorrow, I don't really have a clear idea of what's going to happen tomorrow until we see futures in the morning. Can't really say. However, I would expect this continued push down right about here. So I want to see this continued push down and break below 25 and actually push into this number about 2433 and break below there and test a 24. A test of 24 will solidify a lot of things for a lot of people. And if VIX continues to push down into this number and then 50 on the weekly, and then we are actually tracking this down right about here. So will that happen? Remains to be seen. And another reason that I am kind of otherwise, if it were a regular circumstance, I would have seen this 8 below 21. I would have said, we're going down. However, QT has begun. So that's another thing that's playing on my mind. Doesn't matter what am I doing, it's always on my mind. QT is always on my mind. And even though this is a clear downtrend, I can clearly see the technicals pushing down, right? This is actually pushing down. Mean is coming down, all the technicals are coming down, so that's fair enough. However, the QT is still there out there. QT is still that will create a liquidity event. Liquidity will start to evaporate, and that will play a big role. That will play a big role, in deciding which way VIX will push. So as of now, things are clear for VIX to continue to push down. Maybe 25. If it breaks 25, then we're looking for a clean push into probably 24 and then 23. Now, here are the higher time frames. Higher time frames are suggesting the exact same thing, 24.30, then probably push into 23. But I would not be very complacent like I was here with VIX because we knew that it would come down into at 50. Right now, that is done. So I am going forward. I'm not sure what to do with VIX. That's what I'm getting at. However, this is still pointing to the downside. So tomorrow I'll look for VIX to come down, uh, but I would be, I would be on my toes. So tomorrow I'm expecting the day to repeat what happened today. VIX kind of came back in right in the morning, then pushed up in after an hour or so. Probably once the Jolt reports came out, and it pushed up. Just needed a reason to push up. So that's what happened today. Let's see next Apple. Well, let's actually look into SPX. SPX is doing something very interesting. So this is SPX weekly, and let's go on monthly. So see this thing here, this crazy candle. This is a doji, and this is a very wide range, almost 4,300 to almost 3,800. So close to what, 600, 500 points in a month. In a month, 500 points, it moved up and down and closed exactly at the same spot. That is crazy. That number itself is crazy. However, here is something that you want to be interested in. SPX has left its 5 on the monthly, right? SPX has left its 5 on the monthly, and it is sitting at support right here. So my understanding is that it needs to bounce and go back into this number, into the mean on the weekly. Once that is tested, most likely we'll come back in. However, this I think this should get tested. That's what my understanding is right now. So, and that's the reason I'm looking for that push down on VIX and most likely a bounce in the markets. So that's those are two things that are very encouraging to me right now. Let's see how this is going. Okay, on the SPX daily side of things, and this is why I was looking for this push down yesterday because of doji. We know that red doji appears, and all the signs of were pointing to the downside. So we knew it was going to come back into 5. Most likely that was the case for me, and that happened, and it hit the 21 right about here. Still, I was looking for a hit of 8. Uh, Unfortunately, we did not get that. I was prepared for this, and I lost money on this bet. Actually, I was looking for a further push down here, but that did not happen. I lost money here. So tomorrow, most likely a bounce of this number here, and I don't know how far that bounce would go. Probably 41.33, something like that. And then most likely we want to see a pushback into its 5. Should the 5 break, then we're looking for a push into 8 tomorrow. If 5 breaks tomorrow, I think it will come back into 8 tomorrow. That's my understanding as of now. Right now, the average RSI on this is Heikan Ashi side of things. So this would make it an average of RSI. The green is the indicator that is still pointing the upside. However, last night charting or in the morning charting, we were looking for a push down on SPX. I'm still looking for that push down. Most likely it will come. I don't know how far it's going to bounce, but it needs to come back in. Again, I'm looking for a test of the 8 here. If the test 8 comes through, and then if 8 fails, if 5 fails, we're looking for a push into 8 this time. 8 is sitting about 40.60, and I want to get this tested. If we break below there, we are looking for a push into 40.30. And if we kind of come back into 40.30, then we are most certain to hit 400 again. What will bring this about? Apple. This is the thing that will bring it about. Right now, my understanding of Apple was today. Again, Apple stopped right here, but we'll look into that in a minute. This is the chart that I was looking for Apple. So my understanding for Apple, look at that clean head of these dots. Hit the dot, pushed up, hit the dot, pushed up, hit the dot, pushed up. So this half trend indicator is pretty decent. I hope people are using it. So far I have heard good things about half trend from from my DMs. and also some people using it in the chat. So it's if you're not using it, at least you can use it for the range, right? It is giving you a decent range to work with. So if you're somebody who is looking for options, what kind of options do you want to buy for a range? This is the range that you can look for. So you can use it that way. Or if you're a seller of options, once it is hitting this range, and start selling your options for it to come back into its baseline, and then perhaps move it. So the baseline is a good example of, a rather good spot here to play either side, right? So let it come back into baseline, and it will be hovering around that baseline until it changes, until the dots either start to push up or push down. Then the baseline will start to come back in, and again you can trade based on where the baseline is. Around that baseline, you can start to trade again. So Apple, my understanding of Apple was to break this number. Obviously, it did break this number, 147, whatever this number, and it was supposed to come back into this number right here, 147.23. This was supposed to happen. Ideally, this is what I was waiting on, and this is the trade I lost money on actually. SPX, I was short. I was expecting it to come back into this number, and this fucking thing I kind of pushed from here. Again, see where it went to the baseline, right? Let's see where it went all the way till here, came back right into the baseline. So this is how you can use your half trend. And the moment you see the change in color here on the baseline from blue to red, you can look for a short. And the moment it turns from red to blue, you can start to look for longs. Of course, pair it with another indicator, or use perhaps your VIX for entries and exits, like I do. Cool thing. So Apple, if it starts to break below here, I don't see a reason for it to break as of now. However, right here, the average on RSI is still pointing down. So that if that continues, and I am actually holding a few puts on the market and also on Apple. If it starts to continue to the downside, this is what we are looking for: 170, 147.80, and looking for, again, still looking for this 147.23 number. If that breaks, then we are clean to hit this number, 146.70. And also that is supportive of this chart. Come right back into its 21 right here. And I was expecting this to happen, right? Break, test the mean, and perhaps break the mean and come back into this number. So tomorrow, my expectation is for Apple to kind of try to test this number, at least try to test this number. I know it closed about its 21, but if it can break below its 21 and start to come back into its 5, and the reason that I'm looking for that is it left its 5 on the daily, right? And so if it comes back into its 5, even if it doesn't touch its 5, come back into its mean, that would be nice, right? So that will push the markets a bit down. And if it in fact, if it comes back into its 5, which is about 146.89, then 8 is sitting about 146. So if Apple takes this trajectory, and then we are looking for a push down into SPX and kind of come back into its 8 and probably its mean. This is how my correlation is. And the only reason that I'm hesitant about all of that is this guy, VIX. So this is the reason I'm very hesitant about my thesis right now, that VIX is not looking to the upside on the higher time frames. This is the problem. So as and when I see this problem getting resolved, but this is still in our favor. If you're long, if you're short if you're long the markets, this is still in our favor. That 8 below 21 is still intact on the VIX, so we can still look for a push down on VIX. However, and you can still look for a push down on VIX and upside in the markets. But this is the thing that is still bothering me, and also this is the thing that is still bothering me, and this is the reason I'm skeptical about the markets to the upside. If Apple starts to push down into this number, then it will drag down everything with it. That's my thesis on the markets. And one another data point, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is again below 30, and my expectation was for Bitcoin to break above this number here and push into its super trend about here, 33 to 34 range. And looking, it was looking like it would break into this number and go test the 50, 34 500 or something. Well, while we were charting it, it was probably here, 34, somewhere around here. So that did not happen, and it came right back into its mean. Right, it is testing the mean again, and it is pinned below its mean right now. So if Bitcoin starts to push above its mean and goes back to its 8, that would be a strength of that would be a show of strength. However, if that doesn't happen and the technical starts to come back down, and you can clearly correlate this to the markets, to especially to Nasdaq, and you can see it coming down, and the markets will start to come down with it. That's my understanding right now. So, uh, and the good thing right here is that the average is still pointing up. The RSI is coming down, but the average is still pointing up. So this might just be, some kind of a fake out, and it might bounce off of this number 29, somewhere around 29 or something. If that's the case, then we are still looking for upside in the markets. If that is not the case, if it starts to follow a trend to the downside and breaks below one standard deviation, and the second standard deviation is sitting at about 28.4. So I will be monitoring this, and this doji doesn't really do it any good. So even if the technicals are still, the average is still not saying that it's coming down, but I would still think, as the regular RSS starts to come down, the average will start to come down. If it tests its first standard deviation, I don't think it's going to bounce off of this. I think it will continue to push to the downside. And one more thing is 10 years. So 10-year again is doing the same exact thing. We would have expected 10-year to kind of continue to the upside. Again, this is what is happening. 10-year has left its 5. It is, yeah, given that it is closed above the mean, that's a good thing, but it should not have left its 5. So then that makes it vulnerable to the downside, and the mean is sitting at about 288. And if it starts to come back in again, it will spark at least an ephemeral rally in the markets. And the 5 is sitting about 2.87. So still 5 bips, 5 bips, maybe, yeah, 5 bips. That is still a good enough number in terms of 10-year. 5 bips is still a good number. So let's see how that goes from here. My understanding is that it will come back into its mean and test its mean and run up from there. Uh, Anybody, any idea when is FOMC? June 15. Yeah. So June 15 is, I think it will start this 10-year. There's a 10-year. So my understanding is that this 10-year will continue to run up into this meeting, June 14, 15. So I think 10-year will continue to run into that meeting. My understanding is that it will, the 50 bips, I don't know why it is unable to sustain that 3% threshold. I don't really understand that part, but it is bouncing off of good levels here. So I'm thinking that it's going to go up to at least 2.98 to push into 3 here. So into the FOMC, it has to do that. So into the FOMC, we go higher with the tick, sorry, with US 10-year, and probably post FOMC will still start to come back in. So and I think this will if this pushes up into 3 or whatever, this number might push into 3.19 or something. I don't see it going beyond that as of now. Even 3 is a hard ask, but 3 is sitting at about 2 standard deviation, so we might get 3. 1 standard deviation is pretty much there, and tomorrow if we bounce off of this mean, I think we'll hit the first standard deviation here. uh, but the problem with this whole thing is that it is not sustaining. So FOMC, I think it came back after FOMC and the markets rallied. It came back after FOMC, markets rallied. So I'm expecting the same thing to happen, a push up till FOMC and then come back after FOMC and letting the markets rally. So that's my understanding for things as of now. So June 14th, 15th, we'll see how it goes there. Uh, all right, so we covered Apple, SPX, ES, and VIX. Anything else? Anybody has any other data points or questions, comments? Or Hutch had something about moon indicator. I don't know.
It's it's a pretty unique observation.
Hmm.
The
They use that thing in crypto.
yeah, well, looks to me like it works pretty good with the SPY too. And
Is it?
I put some other stuff in in the charting channel
Mm-hmm.
about the. I was actually looking for some volume type stuff, but I come across that, and it's support and resistance based on strike levels, and looked kind of interesting. So I loaded it, and actually it's it's pretty good.
Pretty decent.
Yeah, on the SPY anyway. I loaded one on the Tessie. It looks like it's pretty good for Tessie as well. But
Mm, what is it called again?
uh, shit, auto support and resistance from strike prices. Yeah, it's kind of clunky. Um,
Ortho support and
yeah,
this
that's
one.
no the third one. There you go. That one, yeah.
You need to get to the indicator settings and set your starting strike prices. So
Yeah, that's easy enough to do. You have to check the box. You have to check the box. Hit apply.
that,
All right, and then pick. I don't know if you want to do SPY. That one's easy. You have a $2.50 strike price. So now go into that indicator. You're on the SPX. That should work. That should work fine. Let's try it with the SPX. I've already done it with the SPY. I know it works pretty good. So
Mhm.
what's the spread on the options on SPX? Is it $5?
Yeah, it should be.
Hang on, I'll check.
Open up. Yes.
SPX. So yeah, it's $5.
So you're putting in $5 here.
Yeah, put in $5 there.
Okay.
Your nearest psychological level would be
4,100.
yeah 4100. Okay, now I'm looking at the option chain right now.
Support line, line width, external lines, major. Okay.
So
What is this?
so those are all your support and resistance lines. Um,
What?
yeah, so throw it onto like a 10 or 15 minute chart.
Uh, this reminds me of that guy from the other Discord,
Yeah, throw enough fucking lines on a chart somewhere, it'll fucking bounce off one
right?
eventually.
There you go.
It's a lot cleaner on the SPY chart, but open it up a little bit. So you got $10 gaps in there now. So break it into $5 gaps.
Okay, so that's pi.
Yeah, but you'd have to go in there and reset your price levels.
Oh, okay.
Two
So
250. Yeah, 250 and 410.
okay. So if you're saying so here, didn't hold it, broke below there, and this is where it's heading up. It didn't hold it here,
Yeah,
went up here, came back down.
yeah, but that line held it for an hour.
This one,
Actually a little over an hour. It bumped it 5 times. Hour and 15 minutes. It
right?
bumped. It bumped that line right there.
Yep. But how do you know it's gonna stop here, and how do you know it's gonna not stop here?
Oh, you don't. You don't.
Hmm.
I mean,
Okay.
I just loaded it and thought it was unique and loaded it up. I haven't really done any in-depth analysis of it, like loading some EMAs on top of it or anything like that.
Hmm.
But it's just psychological levels, I guess, for strike prices. Yeah, it's a lot cleaner on the smaller, like the 5, 10, 15 minute. Like if you were scalping, you might want to. It might be something you'd want to keep an eye on.
Okay, looks good.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And again, the question remains that how do you know it's gonna stop here, and how do you go know it's not gonna stop here?
You don't.
Yep.
It's no different than an EMA or anything else, a super trend. Just because that line's there doesn't mean it's going to stop at it. You think it's going to, but
Yep. Yep. All right, let's see now. So this thing is telling me to get an entry here. Okay, so this is stopping here. This is getting an entry here. So it's already too late about here. Okay, and this is a super trend here. And of course, we know how to use that. Uh, Giving you a buy signal here.
they'll give you that buy signal, but then went up there and bounced off that 410. Bounced
Yep.
around that 410 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Uh, you're on a 5 minute, so almost it bounced around off that for almost 30 minutes before it finally broke through it.
Yep. And this is the I mean, this is what I like about the half trend, and that gives you a range, and the thing moves within that range, and before whichever way it breaks below or above that. So this is a so if I'm trading options, this is the line that I would pick up to actually trade. Or if I'm trading puts, this is the line I'd be in the money. Be in the money puts when I'm trading in the money puts. This is the line that I would pick for. Uh, Today I was picking about 416, uh, and then that pushed down. And by the time that $3 or $2.80 contract went up to $8 uh, towards here, I think right about here, 416 or something. Yeah. So I was looking for this contract at 416 here, and the moment it pushed down, when it came down all the way till here, I think the contract was trading at 8. So yeah, all right, let's play around with this thing, and let's see if we can find something on the daily. Apparently not much.
Now, if you want to play with an indicator, load up one called SATI ATR.
Hmm?
I said if you want to play with an indicator, load one up that's called the SATI ATR, SATY.
Sati.
Yeah,
This one.
yeah, yeah,
This is some guy Satya Mahajan. Looks like an Indian.
yeah. Looks like
Sounds like an Indian. What is this? Day range. 92% of ATR calls.
yeah. So uh, throw the uh, turn off your super trend and your half trend.
Yeah, it's on there.
No, no, no.
What is it saying, by the way? What is this information?
Well, it's telling you what the trend is. If it's up, down, or neutral. Um, I have
All
to
right,
move
so
a couple things
trend.
around. Right now, the trend for the day is neutral, is down actually.
So the
So
this color means down.
yeah, between that and the red. So
Okay.
the ATR, the ATR level for SPY
Hmm.
historically is $9.31, or $10.07 actually. In this
Hmm.
day, it's traded $9.31, so it's traded 92.5% of its total average true range.
Okay.
So I'm not seeing. Uh, Maybe it's because you're.
Plus one ATR.
Yeah. So
Looks pretty low.
go into the settings there, if you would. I think it's because you got such a light background. Yeah, you should be. Yeah. So if you don't mind, change your background to something darker, so these levels will show up. There you go. All right. So you're on a daily. This isn't going to work very well on a daily. Go to a
Let's
15 or 30 minute or whatever.
let's down to 15 minutes.
All right. So the theory is that white line um, at like 413. That's your close from the previous day. And if it,
Right about here. This is
yeah,
this is the line.
I'm not sure how it calculates in the overnight session, but it does. So you see that's got that little jig jag where it jig-jags down.
Here.
No, up. When your session changes over from
Yeah.
pre-market to regular trading, right
Okay, so
there.
this is the
Yeah,
pre-market and
yeah,
this is the regular trading. Okay.
yeah. So there's your
It's
jig-jag.
coming down from here.
Mm-hmm.
Came down here.
Yep.
Okay.
So this guy's theory, those ATR levels are based off of Fibonacci levels, and this guy's theory, he's got a.
ATR doesn't have anything to do with Fibonacci. ATR is simply average true range or
Oh, I'm not.
actual true range.
I'm just telling you what how the guy's got this thing set up. So he's got it based
Okay.
off of Fibonacci levels on an ATR.
Okay.
There's several videos that the guy's got that are. I mean, it's just interesting. I was just checking it out. Um, this guy's tied in with the Ripster and the EMA clouds and all this other crap. Anyway, so the more you know, the more you're worth. Anyway, so your white line is basically your neutral line. That's your opening range. Uh,
Mhm.
the way that he's got it set up with the ATR. So if you go over um, the the teal line above the white line, that's open for calls. That's your at 415.31. If you were to go all the way to one ATR, you would go all the way to 400, 423.
Mhm.
Um, and then on the inverse to the downside,
Mm-hmm.
that yellowish line, if you break below that, then you're good for
Mm-hmm.
calls. Then you're good for calls, and you can see it actually did pretty damn close to it today. If it breaks below that, it's got something to do with the Fibonacci level that if it breaks below that line, then the chances are it's going to try to make it to the next line. And as you see, it did. It came pretty damn close to it today.
Okay.
So at 410, basically, I mean, it's just guidelines. If you took puts at 410.55, you could have taken it all the way down to 402.86, which that doesn't make sense. That must be a divisor of the Fibonacci, the 0.618 or 1.618 or whatever it is. I don't know all the technical aspects of the indicator. Um, but what's kind of interesting to me is that if you zoom out a little bit, so where you can see the previous day's ATR levels on the VIX
Mm,
anyway. Those no just the previous days just to start with.
right here.
Yeah, but
This is the previous day.
right, but zoom in a little bit so you can see those levels on today's chart. There you go. So if you draw a line across there from those levels across to today's levels, not draw a line, but just hold your printer over it.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So.
so yesterday's levels are actually like on the VIX, they work pretty
Mhm.
good as support and resistance on the VIX. So if you load the VIX up, maybe you'll see what I'm saying.
What this guy is implying here through this number 410 50 whatever this is saying puts below this number till ATR 402 1 minus 1 ATR.
For a full ATR, yeah.
So yeah, yeah, all the way till here. So he's saying that if it breaks below here, then most likely the chances of it going till here are bright. That's what he's saying.
No, I think it's
And
if it breaks below the yellow line, the chances of it making if
it
it
did
breaks
break below the yellow line,
right, if it breaks
right?
below the yellow line, the chances of it making it to that first line are are good. And as you can see,
Okay.
it did almost make it to it. The previous day, it broke up below it, but then it came back up and went back up to the mean, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. Never really
Yeah.
panned out.
Here that theory fails here.
It did.
Broke below this line and didn't come all the way till here. Just bounce off of this half trend here.
Yep. The day before, it blew completely through it. So the day before, you actually did the whole ATR range.
Mm. Take care, Ron. Night.
All right. Oh shit, I'm still recording. Say good night.